Hello?
Dave! Wayne's World was a movie about corruption and greed. And you know who has a song about corruption and greed?
Steve, it's 3 a.m. I'm going back to bed.
That's right! The Alliterates are banned. And you can find that song on our new live release, Live, Laugh, Love the Alliterates, 2022 to 2024. Now available on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube Music, Amazon, Pandora, Deezer, Tidal, and more. Get a preview of it at the end of our podcast.
And welcome to Side 1, Side B with Dave and Steve. I'm Dave.
And I'm Steve.
We have a guest with us today. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jacob. Do you want to know my association with what?
Nope, that's good.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's Jacob. He's not in a band, so we won't be promoting yet another band to tell people to listen to. But yeah, friend of ours. We are going to be listening to another soundtrack record today. This is a movie that I know we have all seen. What does everyone know about Wayne's World?
I've seen it a lot because I was introduced to this one very early on because my parents, I think, had it on VHS. And also, my middle name is Wayne, so I had a bit of an association with it based on that because I'm like, oh, I'm a Wayne too. So,
you're not young enough that you're named after the character Wayne.
No, I'm named after my uncle. But yeah, it's a movie that I've seen a billion times. Probably one of the first ones I ever bought on DVD when I was buying my own DVDs. I love both it and the sequel. And I think Michael Myers is a damn good actor most of the time. So.
Yeah, most of the time. I like it that it's one of the better Saturday Night Live movies. I don't think it's as good as Blues Brothers, but it's definitely in like the top 5, if not top 3.
Yeah.
What else would you put up there?
Oh, good question. Coneheads, maybe?
I think MacGruber had a lot of high points.
Yeah, MacGruber was good. MacGruber was like the only like recent one that was really good, I think.
Yeah, and this is one that I didn't know was associated with SNL until like way later because I assume my parents watched it, but I never really grew up with it. And I didn't really watch it when I started watching my own TV because when I moved out, I didn't really watch traditional TV. I just downloaded stuff on file sharing networks and then later torrents. So
yeah, I knew the movie before I knew the sketch because like I didn't really start watching Saturday Night Live on a semi-regular basis until I was like in high school, which to date myself here was like the Will Ferrell, Molly Shannon, Chris Kattan era.
Yeah.
Like every generation seems to have their strong SNL years that they identify with, and like there's the movies that come out of it too. So like you mentioned Blues Brothers, that would be like early, SNL type cast. I grew up on the early 90s ones, so like Mike Myers, Adam Sandler, Norm Macdonald, all those like actors were kind of like the ones I was obsessed with.
Chris Farley,
absolutely, yeah. Phil Hartman too.
The two that he did with what's his name, Chris. The two movies where he drove around with what's
Chris
his face?
Kattan.
No, Chris Farley and
David Spade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chris. No,
Chris Spade.
Did the two movies where he drove around with David Spade, do those count as SNL movies? Are those SNL movies?
No.
They have a lot of SNL cast members, but they're not based off of existing skits.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah.
That'd be like calling like Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison an SNL movie.
Yeah.
It's or not.
Gotcha.
It's an actor who owes their entire career to SNL, but it's not based off of anything they were doing on the show. Well, except Chris Farley to some degree, falling down a lot. He was good at physical comedy. I'm not saying that to make fun of him, but like he falls down a lot on both SNL and in his movies.
Yeah, he's definitely a master of slapstick. I would agree with that.
He's pretty in control of his facial expressions too.
Yeah.
I think he's funny on every level. I don't care.
No, he was great. Like, granted, I might only like Beverly Hills Ninja because he died right after that, because it wasn't like a good movie, but I still enjoy him in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
He didn't make very many movies. It was too bad.
No,
There's,
yeah.
What, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Ninja, Tommy Boy, Black Sheep.
And then there's one more. It was like
he had a cameo in Dirty Work.
Yeah, he had a cameo in Dirty Work. That was a pretty good one. But he was in like a Lewis and Clark comedy movie with Matthew Perry. I don't remember what it's called, but that one was all right. Like, his performance was good. There was a really funny joke at the end where like they were trying to beat Lewis and Clark throughout the whole movie to the Pacific Coast, and in the end they do, but they don't go back because they decide to keep exploring, so they never get credit for it.
I every Saturday night be watching Saturday Night Live because it was still in the area where we just had like bunny ears on our TV and not that many. It was wildly age inappropriate because I would have been, between 5, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
But the physical comedy obviously like resonated with me a lot. So.
Yeah, I guess starting it in high school, I was watching it when it was age appropriate, but also because like Saturday night, my parents monitored kind of our TV more than I think both of you, and so like you couldn't.
I wasn't monitored at all.
I watched it with my parents.
So we couldn't get away with watching things we weren't allowed to on Saturday night because like we were all home. So if we tried to sneak that one in, we wouldn't. So like I know Phil Hartman more from The Simpsons than from Saturday Night Live because it was on syndication, and while I wasn't allowed to watch that, I still did, and my parents weren't home when it was on syndication. So.
My parents got me the Ace Ventura movies on VHS when I was too young to have those. So that tells you how much moderation that I had. Meanwhile, one of the people I grew up with, his parents wouldn't even let him watch The Simpsons, which is funny to me because there's a point where The Simpsons didn't become a big deal anymore to like the Christian right. Because I remember when the Osbournes Reloaded aired, some Fox affiliates in the South decided to pull it and replace it with something more family friendly, and what was more family friendly was The Simpsons. And I was posting a lot on the Megadeth forums at the time, and one of the commenters there said, what kind of world do we live in where The Simpsons is considered a family friendly substitution for something?
The Simpsons isn't what it used to be. Like, there's still some good moments after season 9, but
well, and this was early 2000s, so yeah, they probably weren't too edgy at that point. But I mean, they really weren't ever, to be honest. Like, I remember watching back the original seasons of The Simpsons and going, this was controversial?
I mean, just relative to everything else that was on at the time.
Yeah.
Especially in primetime TV.
Yeah, especially in primetime. The writing still holds up as good in those early seasons, but it doesn't strike me as particularly offensive out of anything I watch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, Bart, he's being such a little brat.
Yeah.
So disobedient. Yeah, that's about it.
That's the joke.
Yeah, for real. Like season 10 onward, they always get kind of crapped on for good reasons because they're not classic Simpsons or whatever. But I think it's just like the bar was set so ridiculously high for when they hit their peak. They're not bad. A lot of the following seasons, they're just not like they're not rewatchable.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like Saturday Night Live too, like definitely has its peaks and valleys, and I think the writers make a big difference because you can have like a cast that seems amazing one season, and then like 1 or 2 seasons later, it's like, why are none of these landing? It's the same people delivering the same kind of lines, and sometimes the writers just don't have it. Or part of the weakness of Saturday Night Live, I think, is having a live show on every week. You just run out of things to write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's also why like the weaker sketches just seem like they're way too long, because they are. They have the punchline and then they have like 5 more minutes to fill.
Yeah, I think The Simpsons and SNL are two franchises that have probably been going for longer than they needed to be. But
Yeah.
people are obviously still watching them, so we're probably the minority there.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like Saturday Night Live at least has the advantage of having an entirely different cast at some point.
Yeah, true.
But what if we're missing out, like, if the real classic Simpson seasons are, like, start at season 35? We just haven't been watching, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure there have been shows that had bad seasons and came back. I can't really think of any, but
They're probably mostly comedies because once a drama goes off the rails, then the story doesn't click anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
well, anyway, that was quite a tangent.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Wayne's World.
So Wayne's World, yeah. I think I first saw the movie in high school at about the check every movie out from the library or rent every movie from Blockbuster that I could get my hands on phase of my life, where I didn't, like in high school, where I didn't have a lot of friends other than other people who were doing the same movie stuff that as I was. So I think I probably saw it around the same time that I was watching Apocalypse Now at 4 a.m.
Were you starting it or ending it at that point?
Starting it.
Okay.
We were like, okay, it's probably a 2-hour movie, so we can go to bed at like 6, and then the sun kept going up.
Yeah, when it comes to Wayne's World, the first time I saw it, I did not understand the plot in the slightest. But now that I'm older, I relate to it even more because, I mean, Wayne and Garth starting a public access television show. I mean,
Yeah, that's basically what podcasts are.
that's what we're doing. I mean, we're basically Wayne and Garth. So,
And then, like, it was interesting for me to see it, though, like, as a teenager in, like, the late 90s, early aughts. I don't remember exactly when I first saw it, because most of the music in there was no longer, like, relevant in any sense. It was the first Penelope Spheris movie I watched, though.
Did
So-
she direct it?
Yeah. And so, like, I was familiar with this before Decline of Western Civilization, part any of them.
yeah, I was too. I didn't see. I think I saw Decline of Western Civilization first, probably when I was 17 or 18, because I was really into Megadeth, and Megadeth were in it. So, yeah, and of course I like Motorhead and Ozzy, and the scene where the guy from, was it Wasp or Saxon?
I think it was Wasp.
Blackie Lawless.
Yeah, the swimming pool scene.
Yeah, when he's just dumping vodka on himself in the pool and his mom's watching. I know it's fake, but it's still hilarious.
It's why did his mom agree to do that?
She probably doesn't even know either. But yeah, looking at the plot here, so Wayne's World, there are two guys on a public access show. They're broadcasting, eventually catches the attention of Benjamin Cain, the villain, and yeah, hilarity ensues, and eventually the executive guy gets his comeuppance. Who was the executive guy? He was
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember it was somebody that I love in a bunch of different things. So
And
Yeah.
the love interest was Tia Carrere.
Yeah. One thing that I think is interesting about it, though, too, like based off of when I saw it, is I didn't like, these weren't bands that were super relevant to me for the most part, except for like Queen. I always did like Queen. Like I first heard Bohemian Rhapsody independent of this movie and all that. And so, like, yeah, I liked Queen. I wasn't familiar with this Black Sabbath song, so it didn't really register for me. And then I liked Hendrix, and I liked Alice Cooper, and I liked the original for Ballroom Blitz, but like a lot of the artists on here wasn't really familiar with. Like I was never really that familiar with Clapton, honestly. Maybe that's because he got the reputation for he got a certain reputation by the time I would have become aware of him that I never really sought him out. But yeah.
what's the difference between a bag of cocaine and a baby?
Eric Clapton would never drop a bag of cocaine out of a window.
Yeah, for me, I never really thought about the soundtrack to this one too much. I really like Bohemian Rhapsody. You know my feelings on Black Sabbath, and this is one of my favorite songs by them. The version of Blitzkrieg blah, blah, the version of Ballroom Blitz on here I think was really good. That was a better Alice Cooper song. I like Eric Clapton, but mostly in his like Cream days, like his Claptone blues days, I think are a little boring personally.
Yeah, my dad liked Cream, and that wasn't one of the bands from my dad that I latched on to. So
I don't know a ton about Cream, but I feel like the reasons that I like them have very little to do with Eric Clapton. Like, he left the band because of For Your Love, that single, right? He's like,
yeah,
too poppy or something like that. I love that song. I think it's great, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I Feel Free, you know that one? It's like, starts off on an a cappella thing. Has no Eric Clapton guitar going for it initially whatsoever. And I'm comfortable with just ignoring him for the most part.
Well, it's like, yeah, my favorite members of Cream are the bassist and the drummer.
Ginger Baker.
Yeah, Ginger Baker and, I'm blanking here.
Is it Johnny Bass?
Jack Bruce. Oh my God, I knew that.
That's actually kind of close.
Yeah. And I have no idea how my dad, boring, normal suburban dad, latched onto this. But I remember once, when I was a kid, he went on a rant about Clapton's version of I Shot the Sheriff because of, basically because of like the reason why the Rock Against Racism people ranted about it, that Clapton did this reggae cover and then went on a bunch of anti-immigrant rants. So I have no idea how my dad knew about that, because this was before the internet, and he was just like pretty boring Midwest dad. But yeah.
Got a good head on our shoulders, sound it.
Yeah.
I asked my dad if he remembers the big racist rant that Clapton did supporting Enoch Powell or whatever, and he said, no, but I don't think at the time it would have affected me all that much. And, fair enough. It was the 70s, and he grew up in southern Illinois, so. Well, all right. So, Wayne's World was a movie that we've all seen. Let's talk about the soundtrack. I don't think I've ever listened to the soundtrack before.
I remember some of the needle drops from the movie, but yeah.
So, I kind of focused on this one because it was one of the first 5 CDs, 5 albums that I owned. And I know it was one of the first 5 because I had nothing before my parents foolishly signed me up for one of those like CD of the month clubs where you get like however many for like, a penny a piece or something like that.
I remember
and they're
those.
like copies.
But buy one $25 CD and get like 5 free, and it ended up being a good deal overall.
Yeah, but it was like, for whatever reason, I picked the Wayne's World soundtrack, the Red Hot Chili Peppers Greatest Hits, why they had one in the early 90s. One, they filled it up pretty decently. They'd already been around for 10 plus years at that point, which is kind of mind blowing. But it's pretty early on in a career for a greatest hits album, if you ask me.
Was that before Blood Sugar Magic? Then
I think it was like side by side with it, because I think their Under the Bridge was on there.
Okay, yeah.
I think that was on Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah, that was it. Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Yeah.
And Neil Young's Harvest Moon was one of the first 5, and. Still a good album.
That's a very good album, yeah.
I don't remember the other ones. It was probably like Billy Ray Cyrus, something awesome like that.
I remember, though, that Record of the Month Club thing was how I started kind of getting into a lot of music, because it was, like in middle school, I heard Flood by They Might Be Giants at a friend's house, and then got it on that Record of the Month Club. And then, listening to that, I was like, oh, none of these songs are on the radio. That means the radio sucks. And then I got into punk rock from, that, infamously geeky record, which is a great record. We should eventually maybe do a They Might Be Giants album. But that was, so that was one of the 2 things that introduced me to punk rock, was not understanding why They Might Be Giants wasn't on the radio. And then another nerdy thing, hearing about the band The Damned from someone in line for Phantom Menace tickets. So the Star Wars prequels also got me into punk rock.
And that makes the Star Wars prequels good.
Yes.
I introduced my best friend to Neat, Neat, Neat by The Damned, and to see his eyes and his face light up listening to it for the first time was just tremendous.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
It is, yeah.
All right, so since we're totally listening to a record today, wink, This first side, we have 6 songs: Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, Hot and Bothered by Cinderella, Rock Candy by Bulletboys, Dreamweaver, the re-recorded version by Gary Wright, Sick somebody else say that. The Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Sick of
Mechanico.
Sick of Mechanico, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and of course my favorite, Time Machine by Black Sabbath. That's a very 80s opening there, and then it just veers right into the 90s.
Yeah, that isn't a listing of songs I would necessarily put together if I was making a soundtrack or making a playlist type of thing. So that it is a bunch of interesting choices. I remember the Bohemian Rhapsody scene from the movie pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good thing I listened to Mike Myers on WTF with Mark Barron, because he talked a bit about how the record label wanted him to put a Guns N' Roses song in Bohemian Rhapsody's place, but he didn't want to do it with anything but Bohemian Rhapsody for artistic purposes. So basically, when they were going to just insist on it and make him do it, he just threatened to drop out of the movie if they didn't use Bohemian Rhapsody for that scene. And they ended up obviously capitulating and putting the song in there. So I wonder how many of these songs are chosen by the record label and how many of these were chosen by the writers of the movie.
I wonder too. Let's see, there's a handful of Guns N' Roses songs that are as iconic. They might not have known which ones would end up being iconic at the time. But like Sweet Child of Mine is the only one that I think is on the same level, iconically as Bohemian Rhapsody, and I don't think that fits the scene at all.
Well, but I mean, as far as Guns N' Roses go, and songs that everybody knows, like, that has the most peaks and valleys that would kind of match the scene. More so than, like, Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
You know, like, it make no sense whatsoever.
And I think the record company was saying use Welcome to the Jungle. So that would probably explain why it was so not down with that idea. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me.
I think there are other probably great uses of Welcome to the Jungle for a comedy movie, but just not that scene.
Yeah.
In my imagination, Welcome to the Jungle is what's playing in a libertarian's head at all times.
You're in the jungle, baby! You're gonna die!
I knew a libertarian that wanted the anarcho-capitalist reality because, quote, we'd all be living in an action movie. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. No. Fuck that. So he wanted the libertarian paradise for all the reasons I didn't want the libertarian paradise.
People who think that they would be more than just like a random pedestrian that gets run over in an action movie.
Yeah.
It's like people who think they would be a senator if they lived in ancient Rome, not just like a random slave.
It's like, we have senators now. Why aren't you one?
Yeah.
I know so many working class people would be like, oh, yes, I would be a noble. It's like, no, you would be a fucking serf.
Yeah.
And you would be doing work for your lord like we're still doing. But, that's a whole other topic.
It's different.
Yeah.
We work for our lords, but now we have to beg our lords for jobs and property to live on.
Yeah.
And pay them for the privilege. So, yeah, a lot of 80s here. And,
We should listen to the song.
Yeah. Let's get it started.
All right.
Hello?
Sean, old buddy, how's it going?
Steve, I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm polishing my rods.
Well, I'll definitely have to let you get back to that. But first, I just wanted to let you know that our band, The Alliterates, has a new release out called Live, Laugh, Love. The Alliterates, 2022 to 2024. Now available on Bandcamp.
Okay, love ya. Bye.
CG just looks so bad.
If they, I'm convinced that George Lucas planned on Darth Jar Jar theory to be real, because I've seen a lot of compelling reasons to think that. And I think had he stuck with that, Jar Jar would have aged better. Okay, that was, quote, unquote side one. What'd you guys think?
That was more hair than I tend to like. That was like there were like 3 hair songs right in a row, which isn't how I would have arranged that. Like, I understand it makes sense for the characters, but you know, it's 1992. You can throw in a little bit of grunge here and there or something as well. Yeah, Jacob, what did you think?
I mean, it's not an album; it's a soundtrack at that point. And this is like before CDs were non-existent and albums were non-existent. Like, people would just buy whatever you put out there. It's not like you have to buy individual songs or whatever. I think there was probably some marketing tie-ins to real bad hair metal bands that just got on the soundtrack because they're publicist or something like that.
Yeah.
Dave said there was 3 bad hair metal songs in a row. I only counted 2 to make it fair. I think it started off with Bohemian Rhapsody,
Which was fucking awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
every time I hear it, I like it more. It is just a gorgeous composition. And then did I miss one? Song number 4 was the Red Hot Chili Peppers one, right?
That was song 5.
That's song
Oh.
5. You are forgetting.
Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
But that's not hair metal.
And we'll go through a track
Yeah.
by track, so we'll just stick with overall impressions right now.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's wildly imbalanced.
Yeah.
Insane. Either really good or pretty terrible.
Yeah. And yeah, like the 90s movie soundtrack albums did tend to be all over the place because it would be like what they could get, and then they would oftentimes put them in the order that they appeared in the movie, not necessarily like what flows track to track.
Yeah.
Oh, would they?
I think they would. Sometimes they would do it one way, some way, sometimes another. I think I remember all these songs being like in the first half of the movie, but I haven't seen the movie in years, so I could be wrong.
We should watch at some point.
We should.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a bonus episode where we just watch Wayne's World and riff on it. My favorite line from Wayne's World is from near the end, which is, if he was an ice cream flavor, he would be pralines and dick.
Garth is the best character by far. Do you remember when he smashes the robotic hand that he created before?
Yeah.
Before returning to the conversation with Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
My favorite scene with him was when he was going on a date with the girl and she's trying to like flirt with him, and as an autistic person, I'm like, oh, he's not getting any of the hints. I don't get any of the hints either. I must be Garth.
Relatable character.
And then, of course, to just hammer it home, while she's trying to seduce him, he goes, got any Megadeth? And I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking early 20s me.
I think a lot of like comedy writers and like the kind of comedians who do the kind of improv in this kind of movie are people who were probably autistic, if not autistic, all like a similar form of neurodivergent.
Yeah.
And so that's why people like us relate to it.
Yeah, well, and also I think not most, but I think a lot of creative people or a lot of autistic creative people end up gravitating towards those kinds of careers because, in a lot of cases you hear like actors and musicians saying, I don't have a choice. I can't see myself doing anything else because, it's just...
Yeah.
Based on how much people talk about autism on social media, I don't know what it is, like diagnostically, but I get called it all the time.
Yeah.
I tell people, like, well, what happens if I go and get diagnosed as autistic? You're going to feel pretty bad for making fun of me for my autism the whole time. And they're like, no, it'll be funnier because I was right. I'm talking about my family.
It's one of those things where I fought it off for a long time because I thought of it as like a negative thing. And then one day I'm like, wait a minute, the entire world makes more sense now that I embrace that. So
Yeah.
that's why I ended up coming around on that.
I've heard it described before. Don't remember who I heard this from, so I can't cite it. But like dogs are autistic, cats have BPD. So
That tracks.
yeah,
Is that bipolar depression?
borderline personality disorder.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a rough one.
So my impressions of this first side are opened perfectly with one of the best songs ever made. And I didn't hate the Cinderella song. It sounded like an AC/DC clone. Like, he sounds a lot like Brian Johnson. Like eerily similar. I didn't know they were that close.
But like without any sort of edge.
Yeah. Like, not as good, but, pretty close. Like,
and Brian Johnson is the less edgy version of Bon Scott, who is my favorite AC/DC singer. But
yeah. But I mean, otherwise,
Great though.
yeah.
otherwise it's just another fucking 80s sex song that,
It's
yeah.
It's interesting that this came out in 1992, though, because like this music was rapidly on its way out at that point because Nirvana was at that point a thing.
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep in mind though that like the SNL movies weren't as much of a there wasn't like as much of a factory a process to making them. This was like early on with it, so it's possible that this was conceived, starting in 1990 based on ideas that were made in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Well, I could see that because they just kind of stuck a Red Hot Chili Pepper song in there. It doesn't really make sense with the other ones that surround it. And then I see it's not on every version, but there's a Soundgarden song on side B that's not included on all versions. I wonder why that is. But so you're probably right. They probably conceived of a track list for this a long time before they wrote it. And then I'm sure there were probably like payola deals with all sorts of record labels on who they put on there. So maybe they're like, oh yeah, we got to pump them numbers up for Cinderella or something.
Bulletboys are the next big thing.
But yeah, I, like Dave mentioned in our Black Sabbath episode, I'm kind of allergic to the hair metal sound, more or less. There are some bands that I like the better examples of it, but whenever I hear it, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So I didn't hate either of the songs, but I didn't like the Bulletboys vocalist, and I'll get that in more when we talk about the whole thing. And Dreamweaver, while I think was a good song, and I would understand why somebody might want to like put that on while on a date or trying to get laid or something, that song kind of gives me diabetes. But then, yeah, the side ends with my two favorite songs on it. So, but we'll go into that once we do the full thing. So, yeah.
So, like, going song by song, Bohemian Rhapsody, a classic. Love it. Love every moment of it. Favorite song on the album, I think, so far. The version they had on this was a little weird, though. They edited out the phrase "little high," which I never thought was about, like, a drug high, because I thought it was just contrasting it with little low. It's like emotional highs, emotional lows, kind of keeping at a even keel.
It was.
Yeah. And then just to edit out little high, maybe this was because the CD version of this they wanted to sell at Walmart and Target. Who knows? But it was weird. I still love the song, but that took me out of it for a second. The song was I looked up some of the details. The song was a really big hit when it came out, but it had kind of cycled out of radio play at the time the movie had come out because it's a 6-minute song.
Yeah.
That was how old would this have been in 1992? It came out in 1976. Someone do math.
16.
Yeah, it was a 16-year-old song. It had, it just kind of naturally cycled out. And the movie, despite the fact how I was saying it was kind of dated and music was moving in a different direction, did kind of bring it back up. And honestly, I think if getting people to care about one of Queen's best songs again is the main legacy of the movie, that's worth it.
I concur.
Great song.
It's hard to even know what to say about the song as a whole because what hasn't already been said about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best songs of all time.
Yeah,
Never get tired of it. Like a lot of Queen songs. I don't think there's any Queen songs I'm tired of.
I mean, their career had peaks and valleys, but a lot more peaks.
Would
Yeah.
you say they're almost highs
Yes.
instead of lows?
Yeah.
We're going to have to censor that.
Okay. Yeah. Almost beeps instead of lows.
The next song, Hot and Bothered, sounded like a bargain bin AC/DC. Not a bad song, but not a great song either. I mean, I wish they would have picked like an actual AC/DC song rather than an AC/DC wannabe song. But, yeah.
I don't know
hate
much
it.
about Cinderella. Seemed like a generic song of its time. Seemed weird to be like track 2, kind of a big pay attention to me moment on the album to be the second song. But yeah.
Yeah. And what is the... I didn't even listen to the lyrics. Is it about a metal band being horny?
I'm almost 100% certain because I wasn't paying attention either. But, I mean, it reminds me of the guy from the Scorpions one time was doing an interview, and for some reason somebody asked him about lyrics, and he's like, well, you know, the song Rock You Like a Hurricane, most people don't know this, but that song is actually about sex. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. But yeah, I don't think there's any deeper meaning to that song.
Yeah. You know, one thing to keep in mind, though, is after a musician is 40 years old, the songs are no longer about sex. They're about their investment portfolio.
Well, hot and bothered probably means that he's old and needs the nurse to put the fan on him.
It means the NASDAQ is up.
Next song, Rock Candy. I thought it had a strong start, and then the guy started singing and ruined it.
Yeah. It was the generic hair metal vocals. Yeah, the riff wasn't like a ballad, but the slow riff at the beginning, it seemed like it could be, you know, kind of one of those kind of creepier, doomy songs. Then the vocals started, and it was just, yep, this is hair metal. This is another hair metal right after a hair metal song.
And it just wasn't like good hair metal vocals either. Like they were just, I don't know. I didn't think they were very good.
I think if you're going to write a bad song, you're doing a disservice to everybody by having it mid-tempo. Like either speed it up so it's over with quickly, or make it like a Doom song or something like that, you know. But yeah, it was. I already forgot about it. I can't hear it in my head. It was entirely. I don't know.
My main note on it is that it was too long, and about halfway through the song, we were just talking about video games.
Yeah, we weren't paying attention to either of those songs.
Like Bohemian Rhapsody feels like a 2 or 3 minute song. Just how exciting it is, and how it kind of just carries you along the whole time. And that song is like 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
This thing could have been 30 seconds long, and it felt like an eternity. It was just so generic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreamweaver is a song that I want to turn into a vaporwave song.
Yeah, there were a lot of different parts to it. Some of the parts I loved, some of the parts I didn't think didn't work. But putting them all together, it was just so much weirder than anything else so far on the album, and anything after it so far, that I couldn't help. Like, it held my attention. I loved how funky the bass was. I don't necessarily like that particular electric piano song on its own, but putting it in there with like the weird synth choirs and the funky bass, it was just like, okay, I can see that this fits with this particular song and maybe nothing else. But yeah, it was like it was the Styx electric piano sound.
Friend of the pod, Paul Deanna would probably do a killer cover of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever like really wrote or composed that song, whether it was the producer or the group or the singer, I don't know who it was, you could tell they had a vision, and that shines through. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it. I liked the intro and the outro, and that they had instruments drop out entirely for long segments of the song. It made it much more interesting than the pop metal that we heard for the last 2 tracks.
Yeah, it was definitely in like the hair metal like neighborhood, but it was.
You think so?
I
thought it was like Hall & Oates.
I thought the vocals seemed more hair metal, but like a lot of the instrumentation was kind of Hall & Oates. But unlike a lot of hair metal too, like a argument against me calling it hair metal was it was so much more dynamic. Like hair metal is allergic to dynamics in a lot of sense, and so like letting instruments drop out, letting it like change a billion times, that kept it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of hear it, the hair metal part now that you say it.
It smells like aqua velvet.
Yeah. Well, I guess the bass being so funky doesn't make the next song as jarring, but it was still incredibly jarring. It did not fit on on an album after these other 4 songs at this point.
Yeah, it was very jarring going into the next song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Kaneko.
Yeah.
Sika Mechanico.
Yes, that one.
So, I'll start because it's just like silent at this point.
Yeah.
I think that this song excels based on what came before it, because it gave you something interesting for the ear to listen to.
Yeah.
It was telling these fellas while we were listening that I used to play guitar, and I tried to play this and got hand cramps every single time, so I gave up on it. I think as far as the Red Hot Chili Peppers go, they're pretty problematic. They're a very interesting band. I think this is a very listenable song of theirs, and one that isn't heard very often.
I really liked it. I thought it kind of bordered on like speed metal territory in a lot of sections, and it had a lot of varying parts that integrated a lot of different genres. So it was one of the better Red Hot Chili Peppers songs I've ever heard. Not really a big fan of them music-wise and personality-wise. So, separate the art from the artist with that one, I say.
Yeah. I like Flea. Every time I see him, the fact that he was on every music documentary he could feasibly be on, I like that guy. I don't like Anthony Kiedis, I don't think.
With Nihilus Lebowski.
I really liked this song. It sounded kind of like a hardcore punk song crossed with Living Colour, and also as a whole sounded like System of a Down as a result of crossing those two.
Yeah, I can see them playing that song, or I can see Limp Bizkit doing a cheesy version of it too.
I liked the bass. I liked the guitar. I liked the drums. I liked the vocal delivery. Even though I don't normally like Anthony Kiedis, it was really good. I looked it up. I found out it was the B-side to Under the Bridge, which, once Under the Bridge got huge, Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of changed into a slower band, I think, at that point. Not, entirely overnight, but they started to do more songs like that. I actually think Under the Bridge is an all-right song, but the direction that it took the band, I think, made it worse. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I liked it. It was my second favorite song, I think, of the whole side, just because it had the advantage of being after 2 songs I didn't really like, and then 1 song that I did like, but was kind of too weird to latch onto in some ways. And then there's just this was a shot of energy.
You know what my favorite kind of heroin is? Ridge heroin.
Bridge heroin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where you get that?
Under the Bridge?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll introduce the next one because, as everybody knows, that's my favorite band. So, Time Machine is not the same version of Time Machine that's on the Dehumanizer album. They recorded this song, I think, specifically for this album, and then they decided they wanted to put it on Dehumanizer, and they wanted it to match the other songs' aesthetics from the studio, so they re-recorded it again. And in my opinion, this version is better than the version that ended up on Dehumanizer. It had a rawer production, but I think it had a better energy overall. And what's really nice is, for some reason, on every single copy of Dehumanizer I've ever seen, they include this one at the end anyway, so that you get both versions of the song with the album. Dave, what did you think of Time Machine?
There's a lot I liked about it. I liked Dio's vocals. Dio was a great vocalist. I loved the bass line on the bridge, little breakdown they had there. Thought that was really cool. And then when I said something about it, you pointed out that it was Geezer. And so it was cool that they brought Geezer back in.
Yeah, he was long out of the band at this point. He ended up leaving during the Tony Iommi solo years, basically. And he came back for this album and then the Cross Purposes album. And at some point, we're going to do the Anno Domini box set, which we've been teasing since the first episode. And I finally bought. So we'll get to hear Geezer Butler on a Tony Martin album at that point. Oh, also, this is the song that they play when the the T1000 freaks him out and he speeds away. And they really only play a few bars of it. What did you think of Time Machine?
I enjoyed learning a lot about Black Sabbath history from like the mid 70s onward from you, because I was just talking the whole time. The song like didn't register. It's like, tell me about Dio. He's Holy Diver, right?
Yeah.
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 He's a rainbow in the dark.
Before we started this podcast too, I knew Sabbath's first 5 albums, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew a little bit about the Dio stuff, but like individual songs, not whole albums. But for me, it goes like from their, like it went from like their first like self-titled one to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and that was the extent to what I knew about the band. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like a character flaw not to know about the Dio era of Sabbath.
yeah,
You know?
like as cool as I think Dio is, yeah, like they had a long career, and the Ozzy albums after Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath never clicked with me, so I just kind of stopped paying attention.
For me, I feel like I love the Dio years. I think they deserve to be iconic. But the Dio years to me sound like the era that they come from. They sound like early 80s. Whereas the Ozzy era, especially like you say, the first 6, I feel like they kind of transcend the time period. They don't sound like 70s albums to me. Mm-hmm. And that's probably kind of the weakness in Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, is I think he was trying to make songs that sounded of the period. And then when Heaven and Hell and Mob's Rules came around, they sounded very 80s to me. That said, Dehumanizer is actually probably my favorite Dio Sabbath album, the one they did in the reunion, because musically they sounded like they were making something that was more akin to the Ozzy era, heavier than the Ozzy era, and more like 90s heavy metal, but with Dio's like operatic vocals, so you kind of get almost a hybrid of the two eras because of that.
How can you get heavier than Changes? Come on.
That's pretty fucking heavy.
All right, so we have the next side to look forward to here. Looking at it, it seems like this, like after these songs, which are largely, like the big songs to kind of promote the album that are really like tie-ins. I'm seeing like a lot of like there are songs, that are pre-existing songs that people know, but I'm seeing like more of like the goof songs that are often in comedy soundtracks, like recorded by cast members. Like, there's 3 of them total, and they're all on the second side, so they were kind of saving those and really leaning into this kind of as an album to promote these bands to some degree before they start leaning more into the movie itself.
Yeah, looking at the soundtrack, I can already tell I'm going to enjoy Side B a lot more than Side 1. So, we'll throw this on, and we'll digitally flip it over, and we'll be back. Andrew!
Steve, restraining order.
Oh, that expired last week. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know we have a new live release out called Live, Laugh, Love, The Alliterates 2022 to 2024. Now on our Bandcamp page, thealliterates.bandcamp.com. Go check it out.
Okay. I need to call my lawyer. Bye.
All right, we are rolling. That was side B of the Wayne's World soundtrack that we definitely listened to on vinyl. Fellas, what did you think?
I thought it was stronger than the first one, mainly because it was a lot of different kinds of songs, and there were some songs that I liked more going in. But yeah, it was like a soundtrack. It was a little all over the place, but this one had more of what I expect from like a 90s soundtrack album, where there's little goofs by the characters as actual tracks on the soundtrack.
Yeah, that was fine. Like, nothing out of the ordinary. I've heard more Tia Carrere than I ever thought I would in my life.
You've heard most of her discography, apparently.
2/3 of it, apparently, yeah.
And she recently released a song called, what was it called? I'm Still Around or something?
I'm Still Here. And
I'm
by
Still Here.
recently, you mean 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it that long ago?
Yes.
It's kind of like how William Shatner put out a second album called Has Been, like in the 90s after he'd done stuff in the 70s, and then didn't do another album until the aughts, although Has Been ended up being his best record. But yeah.
Has Been is a underrated album that I would love to do on this podcast at some point.
And I'm not. I need to make it clear. I'm not throwing shade at Tia Carrere for releasing a song called "I'm Still Here" in 2003. Do what you got to do. She is still a working actor in General Hospital, apparently. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like she had a lot of different roles in television. She had like a lot of movies, like none that I really recognized, but a lot of like she had roles on like NCIS and stuff like that.
Who even knows movies? Like, I've watched Titanic, and that's it. Like, what else is there?
Star Wars, The Cook, The Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, Blue Velvet. And then that's it. No more movies have ever been made.
The Room.
The Room.
And
Midsummer, yeah. Evil Dead 2.
But Tia Carrere was in all of those.
Yes.
Star Trek V, The Final Frontier.
The Color Out of Space, starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, for me overall, I enjoyed this side a lot more than side one, though there were a couple stinkers on it, which we'll talk about when we get around to them, including one of the bigger names on it. But yeah, it had some bizarre moments that we'll talk about more.
The bizarre moments were endearing.
Yeah. Like, no, I want them to be there, but yeah, there were bizarre moments that I enjoyed. But yeah, overall, a lot stronger of a side. I like that they included 2 songs from the actress in the film. And I love Jimi Hendrix, and I love Alice Cooper, even though it's probably not the best example of his song. But I do have a funny story for that one when we get around to it. So we'll start with the Wayne's World theme.
Right, yeah, I wish it was a little thinner, like it was more like it was on the sketch on Saturday Night Live in like the 80s, where it was just obviously 2 people doing what they can with like drumsticks on on his lap and a cheap guitar with a cheap amp. I liked how thin it was on the sketch. I did think it was a lot of fun. I thought it was too long though, like
That should have been 3 minutes.
yeah, they should have just faded out at some point. It felt like a Saturday Night Live skit that it's like, okay, we need to fill time. Let's just keep it going.
It did have a pretty killer guitar solo, though. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever was playing guitar on that did a great job.
Mike Myers.
Was he really?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if the credits, if it said it on the back of the album cover, which we're looking at. But yeah, it was 5+ minutes long.
Yeah, 5:14.
Yeah,
Wayne's World theme.
And it felt
Parentheses, extended version.
it felt every second of it.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, as far as the rest of the songs go, it had more vitality than like the hair metal songs that we shit on side A.
It was at least fun. I was having a lot of fun
Yeah.
listening to it.
Yeah.
But there were moments where I'm like, all right, get on with it.
I was having fun because they were having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I liked how there was a church lady reference for no reason other than it was Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Why so? What was it? Wasn't Why So Serious? It's Joker. Isn't that special?
Isn't that special? Yeah.
Special.
Well, isn't that special?
I like Dana Carvey.
Yeah, I do too. I always liked his George Bush impression too.
Oh, yeah. His George Bush impression was fantastic. Ballroom Blitz, covered by Tina Carrere. I really like her version of the song. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I like it. It was a good song. I like the original more, but it was a good cover. Like one of the things I like about the original is I really like how the original goes all in with between like the verse and the chorus. That yeah. Did I clip the recording?
Surprisingly, you did not.
All right, good on me. Yeah, it was a fun cover. It was a little cleaner than the old one. Like one of the things I like about how much I talk about how much I love like 70s glam rock as opposed to 80s glam metal. One of the things I like about it is how it's just a little dirty. This one was cleaner than the original, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I think it had an energy that made it sound like it was being played live, because I think it was supposed to seem live in the scene that it was in, but I do think it was a studio recording. But I think they captured a live energy for it, so I appreciated that.
It felt like a fun bar band cover.
Yeah,
I think she can sing.
She definitely can sing. Yeah.
Absolutely. The only other thing I have to say about it is I agree with David in that it is a little cleaner, a little more polished than the original recording. I had to look up who did it. I was thinking it was like Gold Earring for some reason, but it is Sweet, or The Sweet, as
Yep.
it was known.
Yeah. They've gone by both.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
On their Wikipedia page, though, the picture of them, they look like Power Rangers without their helmets.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Oh my God, they do.
They were very much. Yeah. I know that big. Yeah. They were very much of a time of glam rock. Like, there was like early on in glam rock, there's like Bowie and Roxy Music and Mark Bolan from T-Rex doing all kinds of weird costume stuff. And a lot of bands were trying to go for that and did not have like the same skill of like fashion designers working with them. And to be completely 100% honest about like the Bowie, T-Rex, Roxy Music costumes, those were weird. Those looked like something from Doctor Who villains, but they were, they were made by people who knew a little bit more of what they were doing than say, the people who designed the costumes for Sweet. Still love the band.
All right, next one, classic, Foxy Lady, Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Yeah. My notes on this are 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, same. Fabulous song. Probably the first time I ever heard a Jimi Hendrix song was probably when they had it in this movie.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, awesome.
Maybe I'd heard it before because my dad is a big Jimi Hendrix fan, so I would almost certainly heard it before. But maybe that's like the first time I made like a emotional connection to it. Maybe.
Yeah, I love Hendrix. As far as all his songs go, like Foxy Lady is lower on the chart, but that means it's like higher than pretty much anything anyone else has ever written. Like, I love all of it for the most part. Big guitars, sounds great. It was an awesome scene in the movie. And I will dovetail a little bit on Hendrix later on.
Dave, you were talking about when we were listening to it, the Cure version of it, which is hilarious and shouldn't have been on the album, but funny that it was.
Yeah, it was a different era of The Cure. It was when they had their original bass player that was only on their first album. It's a fine cover. It does not sound like what The Cure would eventually sound like anyway. Most of that album doesn't, although Boys Don't Cry is a great song. But yeah, it almost just feels like a neat little novelty for a band that became something completely different.
Yeah. Next one, Feed My Frankenstein from Alice Cooper. I got a funny story about this one. So I was listening to Mike Myers on the podcast with Mark Maron, and he wanted, I think it was School's Out. I could be wrong on that, but one of his classic songs for that scene. And he goes up to his manager, and his manager goes, "You're going to put one on from the new album." And he's like, but I want School's Out. And he's like, "Nah, you're going to put one on from the new album. And I'll tell you what, they're not even going to know it's not School's Out because you're only going to play like 10 seconds of it anyway. So just put it in the outro." And Mike Myers, who almost quit the movie because he couldn't get Bohemian Rhapsody, was actually convinced by that. So they ended up going with this song. And eventually, he was in a 2013 movie called Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon, who is the manager that managed Alice Cooper, Blondie, Teddy Pendergrass, and Pink Floyd. And this movie was produced and directed by Mike Myers in his directorial debut. And yeah, it sounds like he met the guy. The guy basically just said, "Yeah, you're going to use the song that I say." And it sparked this like huge friendship, and he ended up playing the guy in a movie. So that's kind of cool. And I never heard of that movie, but I might have to check that out. That sounds interesting.
Not some like Nazi Nietzsche stuff.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's Ubermensch.
It sounds like, based on what Mike Myers was saying about the guy, it sounded like he was like a stand-up guy. So
Yeah.
I'm curious about it. But yeah, as far as the song "Feed My Frankenstein," what'd you all think?
Well, I was confused. I don't know whether he was referring to Frankenstein, which, as we all know, is the doctor.
The
But maybe some of our more plebeian listeners will think
that it's the monster.
the monster.
I would posit that both the Doctor and the monster are Frankenstein because the monster is really the Doctor's son.
Right.
No, the Frankenstein is Alice Cooper's penis.
Yep.
Yeah, he shouldn't have got those neck bolts tattooed on there, but he did.
Yeah, that must have hurt.
We all did.
Yes.
We never got on that tour.
Yeah, no, like there are Alice Cooper songs I like better. This one sounds more dated than some of the ones that I consider as all-time classics, like Billion Dollar Babies or School's Out or Where Only Women Bleed. But yeah, it's a fun song. There's some cool, like during a breakdown solo section, there's like some cool like weird guitar noises and synth noises in the background. It just felt a little more grounded in its particular time period than the songs by him that I consider absolutely essential, but it's a fine song.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's one of the better ones off of that Hey Stupid album, which is full of like drenched 80s pop, even though it came out in 92. Like they hadn't quite gotten the memo yet. But that song I think is really fun, even though it's really silly and cheesy. But I mean, I like silly and cheesy, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's like silly theatrical. It's very overproduced. And I don't know, nothing terribly offensive about it. I have to say though, like if you, what are the AI engines these days called?
Chat GTP.
Chat GPT. GPT.
It's funnier if you don't get it right anyway.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you told Chat GPT to be like, make me a White Zombie song that kind of just sounds a little bit off. You end up with this song,
Yeah.
So a Marilyn Manson song.
Yeah. Oh, it also had an all-time lyric, "Hungry for love and it's lunchtime."
Yeah. That's one of those lines that's so bad it's good.
Yeah. I did like his vocal delivery as a whole in it though. Like I liked the snarl.
He's in an important part of the movie where they get to go backstage with Alice Cooper, while they're like eating their Rockstar buffet or whatever, and they do the "We're not worthy, and he does the really enlightened local historian thing. Like most people don't know that the indigenous residents, Milwaukee was named after the word for this, Milwaukee or whatever, and that Milwaukee elected 3 socialist mayors in a row or something like that. And
Yeah.
That I thought that was like pretty sweet, and like also when I was delivering pizza, I would listen to his radio show, which went on for quite a long time, and I always got a kick out of it. But very disappointed to hear that he sounds like kind of like a transphobe fucker. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just like what?
Out of anybody, you think, yeah.
Yeah. Like you're wearing makeup, you're gender bending before it was like a mainstream thing.
You took on the stage name Alice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things, and like just very disappointing.
Yeah, I was really disappointed to find out that like he called Sarah Palin a breath of fresh air, and like Adam, who we did an episode with earlier, the Ronnie James Dio episode, he was really into Alice Cooper for a while, to the point where he was just like, we should start an Alice Cooper cover band, and I kind of would have been down with that. And then one day I asked him when he wanted to do that, and he goes, "Oh nah, man, found out that Alice Cooper's like really into Sarah Palin and golf, so broke the immersion for me. Doesn't work anymore. I've moved on." And I think that's probably why he's a big Ghost fan now.
He's always been into golf too, is the thing. It's not new. Now, was it Sarah Palin or Sarah Palin's monster that he was really focused on? The dude is not precise with his words.
Would Sarah Palin's monster be the current Republican Party?
Yeah, it kind of would. Sarah Palin's monster is J.D. Vance.
Also,
Fuck the
loves
couch.
mascara. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's mascara and fuck the couch?
Oh yeah.
I saw somebody post that picture of him in the mascara, and then somebody in the comments put, Oh, it's the Evil Kirk makeup from that episode where he split into Good and Evil Kirk.
The one I've heard the most is Nightman, which, yeah.
I saw that one too. That's great. All right, next song, Ride With Yourself by Rhino Bucket. You know, it's weird. I'm surprised I have never heard of Rhino Bucket before.
Yeah, I'd never heard of them either. Like, I looked at this and I was like, who the hell is Rhino Bucket? And so it's like, I'm just going to quickly look them up. And I went on to friend of the pod, Wikipedia. And the second sentence about them is that they've been compared to AC/DC.
It was an AC/DC song that sounded like somebody like either grabbed Brian Johnson's balls or like upped him up a couple semitones, and he was drunk when he recorded it.
Yeah.
It was not good.
No.
No edge to it whatsoever. And by my count, this is the second AC/DC ripoff on the album.
I preferred the first AC/DC ripoff by Cinderella, not by much, but to the point where it didn't like annoy me. It was just fine to have on in the background. Whereas this one, his vocals just were not good.
Yeah.
And I like the Ace Frehley record.
This band was called Rhino Bucket. What do you suppose that means?
I have no idea. That sounds like something a bunch of high schoolers would come up with.
Do you think it's a husbandry thing?
Maybe. Maybe it's... Maybe
bet it is.
Yeah, maybe that's what they call the bucket that they jerk the rhinos off into to make sure that they don't go extinct so they could do the artificial insemination.
I remember when I first heard of the band Slipknot, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And it literally means like the knot that like cowboys tie onto it. So it like, I forget exactly what it does, but it actually is a type of knot.
It's a useful knot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how useful a rhino bucket would be.
Well, if you don't want the white rhino to go extinct, you got to jack him off. Get the lotion and the rhino porn out, Steve. You got to save a species.
All right. I got to do my duty. One of my favorite facts about Rhino Bucket is they sound like AC/DC, and for their 1994 album Pain, they recruited AC/DC drummer Simon Wright.
I mean, why not?
You know, he was available, so...
I mean, as far as AC/DC goes, that's the defining sound. It's not the singer or the guitar player or the bass player. It's the drummer.
Yes.
No, I'm not making fun of AC/DC's drummer. What's his name?
Well, this one's Simon Wright. Their original one is Phil Rudd, who tried to get somebody killed with a hitman deal. But
Oh my God, yes.
That's a weird story.
it is a weird story. I don't know why he still gets to tour, because he was in AC/DC after that happened. And I think all he got was house arrest for it.
Why?
Because he tried.
Yeah.
He didn't succeed.
Well, meanwhile, the guy from All That Remains hired a hitman to kill his wife, who ended up being a cop, and he got like 4 years for it.
Oh, is that like the Christian metal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I read about that at one point, yeah.
I mean, yeah, abolish the carceral state, but people who hire hitmen should probably not be allowed to interact with the rest of society.
Instead, the entire world went, let's give this guy a visa, because, AC/DC, they bring a lot of money in for the economy, and, the economy is the most important thing, so we got to sacrifice everything for the economy.
The Akadaka economy.
Yeah. The Akadaka economy is very important.
But it's not like AC/DC couldn't hire 1 million people to play drums for them.
Yeah, I don't...
He absolutely could. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, that was sarcasm.
Yeah.
Well, he's not with them anymore, but he was with them for a while, and I think he still kind of plays on their studio albums, so that's probably the arrangement they have now. But like I said, he went on a tour with them after he tried to get somebody killed worldwide, which, if I tried to have somebody killed and went to, they wouldn't put me in house arrest and went to jail for it, I wouldn't get to go on a world tour. So.
Like, if you compare that to streaming Gary Glitter songs where he's not getting paid because he is in prison for holding onto all his child porn, it's ethically you're probably morally you're probably in a better place listening to Gary Glitter than anything by the drummer who's totally getting paid who tried to hire a hitman.
Because the money is going to like damages.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, you can listen. You can listen to Rock and Roll Part 2 on streaming and not feel bad about it.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
The next song was boring, but by somebody that we've all heard of. Eric Clapton, Loving Your Lovin'. That song was so goddamn boring. I mean, it had a good guitar solo, but by the time we got to the guitar solo, I didn't fucking care because that was the most boring white bread thing I have ever fucking heard.
It was like blue-eyed soul.
Yeah, it was boring rhythm guitar, and I tend to like rhythm guitar more than lead guitar. So if the rhythm guitar is boring, I will check out.
Yeah.
Like, Eric Clapton sucks. Like, everything he's done has been undone. Let me rephrase that. Everything good he's done has been undone by everything bad he's done. Like, he's made so much garbage music, and he's a piece of shit person. Fuck Eric Clapton.
Yeah, like you can say Layla's a good song. I think it is, but like everything Eric Clapton has done, all the boring music, and all the white supremacy, and all of the dropping the child and all that, like it's just
Anti-vax stuff.
Anti-vax stuff. Fuck him.
Yeah. Like, I like Cream, but Clapton's not the reason I like Cream. I like it because of Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker. Mm-hmm. And, I like Layla, but he wasn't the only person on that song. It's not like Derek and the Dominoes was his band. So, yeah.
I said I'd come back to Jimi Hendrix. So, Eric Clapton, once he heard Jimi Hendrix, realized he was so outclassed, even though this is someone with an enormous ego to the point where he ostracizes all his fellow musicians. He realizes he's so outclassed by Jimi Hendrix that the dude perms his hair so he can look more like Jimi Hendrix. That is who people are saying is God. Eric Clapton is a fucking loser and a dork. And I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
And he's a four ice. He wears glasses.
Yeah, the nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know what? Brian May is a necromancer or a physicist or something. Eric Clapton doesn't do shit else except, suck.
I heard that the first time he saw Jimi Hendrix, like, he was so upset about it that he basically got in a fetal position and cried about it, like, that level of upset about it.
During his, like, racist rant, he said something along the lines of, like, I used to do dope, but now I do racism.
He's like, yeah, all you immigrants, you should just fucking leave, and we should all vote for Enoch Powell.
I used to do dope, and now I do racism. Sounds like something a troll would say, like, in like the Facebook comments as a joke. Like create like an alt that with like a stock photo of some aging hippie and just like put that in there. Mm-hmm. It sounds like something someone would make up.
I can absolutely see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a Brace Belden character or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait. I'm consulting my references here, and he said he was drunk when he said that. Which, as we all know, we admit to things that we don't believe when we're drunk.
Yeah.
Funny story about Eric Clapton. Ozzy Osbourne had a bunch of guests on his latest album, including Tony Iommi and Jeff Beck, Zakk Wylde, and just a bunch of names. And Eric Clapton was one of the big names that he had on it. And he had a line in the song called "It's One of Those Days Where I Don't Believe in Jesus," which is actually I think is a pretty good song because I think he's singing about like the pain that he goes through these days because he's old and he's done every drug ever and he crashed an ATV and almost destroyed his back, and I don't know how Ozzy's still alive, but I don't know how he outlived Dio. I guess when Dio died he was like really upset about it. But anyway, back to Clapton. So Clapton wanted him to change that line to "It's one of those days where I don't believe in sunshine," and Ozzy's like, what the fuck, no.
It's like, you see, the problem is it's intriguing and good. We need to make it bad and bland.
I just can't imagine Ozzy singing that line.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody who writes lyrics and is good at it singing that line. So, awful suggestion.
Like, early era Eric Clapton, have you ever listened to his guitar solos and been like, okay, what am I missing? Because these aren't that, like, great. It's nothing special. Like, I listen to Hendrix and the hairs on my arms and the back of my neck, like, stand up. Every time. Doesn't matter if I've heard it 1,000 times before. Eric Clapton, I'm just like, okay, is this what was considered good at the time? Is this when you look at like old Olympic videos and they're I don't know, they do like one little flip on I don't watch the Olympics. What are they doing in the Olympics? The slalom? When they slalom
when they slalom, when they do a triple axel on
they high five their coach while they were on skis.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn, that was good. Clapton's God.
Yeah, I think he has a great guitar tone, and I think he's a great lead player. But anything past his early days, just I'm not interested in it. It just sounds like somebody took the blues and made it boring, basically. There's so many better artists to listen to, so many like better black blues artists to listen to, for instance, where I would reach for a million times more than I'd reach for Eric Clapton. Like, I don't know, even this song here, as generic as it was, even if BB King was performing it instead, it would have been a million times better, even as it was. But yeah, it so boring.
Yeah. It's, you know why it was boring? Because he wears glasses, because he's a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
Let's see how we do the blues here. Let me show you how to jam.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm doing voices.
Yeah.
Guitar face.
Voices are fine. Yeah.
He closes his eyes sometimes when he's playing a high note, so we know that like he's feeling it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the cum face right there.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
Clapton cum face.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember once I was watching a documentary about Talking Heads, and at one point Chris Franz, the drummer, was saying, yeah, we try not to make the guitar solos too long, because there's nothing worse than when you're watching a show and the guitar player is making a face like he's having an orgasm.
Yeah.
I like how everybody on the Guitar Circle Jerk subreddit calls him Claptone.
Yeah.
Because
Eric
all
and the
boomers
Claptones.
just love Clapton for some reason, including my dad.
Can we like keep going around the triangle talking shit about Clapton? It's so fun. And you know what? His tone has like he's not willing it into existence. This isn't a new set of frequencies that as God he created.
Yeah.
It's the interplay between his strings and his guitar and his pickup and his amp. And I know people are going to be like, well, that's just his tone you're talking about. It's like, no, it's equipment. He sucks. Fuck him. Go to hell.
Yeah.
But when he makes his guitar cum face, that's where the tone comes from.
That's him.
That's
Yeah.
the tone sauce right there, so to speak.
Like, do you know what his guitar was made out of? It was made out of maple from a planet where the ground was made out of other wood.
Yeah.
That's how deep it is. You see.
That's the best tone you could possibly get.
Yeah.
Only Joe Bonamassa can get better tone than that.
Who is that?
Yeah. Who?
He's like the current white blues guitarist that plays pentatonic scales for boomers.
Oh, okay.
And he owns like every vintage guitar ever. Like anytime one of them pops up on like, I don't know, Reverb or out of somebody's private collection, like he buys it and then goes into his little archive where nobody will ever see it again.
So he's a collector. He's hoarding.
Yeah. And I mean, I know I collect 20, I know I have like 20 guitars, but I play all of them. So
Yeah.
you can't possibly play more than, I don't know, 50 guitars regularly. Like,
Yeah. And well, and who else is going to buy like Soviet Tanikas and actually play them?
I think most people buy Soviet Tonikas and just hang them on the wall. But I'm like, no, I'm going to use it on my newest single that I'll be releasing in the next few months, hopefully.
Those are what Lennon learned to finger tap on.
Wait, which Lennon?
The good one.
Yeah.
The one born in 1870.
Nice. Yeah. The Beatles only replaced John with Vladimir.
Little known fact, Vlad could fucking shred.
Vladimir fucking Lennon.
All right, and then it closes out with a song called Why You Want to Break My Heart, again by Tina Carrere.
Tia.
Did I say Tina? Tia Carrere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a sappy song, but I thought it was a nice chill song to end it on.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Like the comedy has to have a love story to kind of emotionally ground it some. Otherwise, it's just random. And like as comedy love stories go, the Wayne's World one was fine. It was a little bit of the highly skilled and accomplished beautiful woman with the doofy boyfriend, but there are movies that do it worse. It was a good song, yeah, a little sappy. It was, it fit the mood. It was a change of pace from most of the rest of the songs. It was fine.
Yeah, I liked it. I think she's a great singer. It's not something I would like put on, but in the context that I was listening to it in, it was quite enjoyable.
Yeah. Oftentimes I don't know if like soundtracks still exist. I know scores exist, but like you would get actual performances from the movie. I remember like the Romeo and Juliet soundtracks. There was 2 of them. They had actual numbers that were like acted out in the film, which was something. But yeah, it was good. I think it's worth noting that although this movie fails the Bechdel test miserably, like anything else from the time, there are 2 Tia Carrere songs on the soundtrack, which is something worthwhile that Steve pointed out. Also, do you guys remember Wayne's crazy ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She like gets in the gun rack.
I gotta watch that movie again. I gotta get it for Laserdisc
Yeah.
because I own a Laserdisc player.
Laserdisc night with with Wayne's World as a bonus episode.
Like he doesn't own a gun, let alone multiple guns that necessitate a gun rack.
That's one of my favorite jokes from it too. Or I remember when we were listening to the Ace Frehley one, and Sean called one of the songs "The Shitty Beatles." And yeah, that was the closer. And then for some reason, Wikipedia says some versions close out with Loud Love by Soundgarden, which I could not find another version that closes out with Loud Love. So I think Wikipedia might be wrong there. But since we listened to it, and it's in the movie anyway, what'd you guys think of Loud Love by Soundgarden?
It was good. It didn't fit with the rest of the song. I think it felt more like trying to get the current rock stuff into the soundtrack, but it's a good song. It's a fantastic song.
Along the same lines of the Red Hot Chili Peppers song, just like not at all with the theme of it, with the general motif of the soundtrack. But yeah, it was fine. That song sounded familiar. That was on a Soundgarden album, correct? Was that self-titled?
Yeah, that would have. It's not technically a self-titled since it was called Louder Than Love, like the album. But yeah, basically, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it occurred to me for the first time listening to that how much the riffs of Queens of the Stone Age sound like Soundgarden, particularly this song at times. And I pointed out, and apparently I was the last one in the room to recognize that. So I guess we should think of Queens of the Stone Age as a Soundgarden's monster, perhaps?
Yes. Yeah. Taking the elements of the Pacific Northwest and taking them to the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Homme almost certainly listened to Soundgarden when he was coming up. I mean, they were pretty big in the underground even before they got signed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw them during their tour after, or is it Songs for the Deaf?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
No one knows. Like, so you'd think when they were like at their biggest or whatever, I bought tickets to go see them at a fairground in like Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Not during a fair, mind you, just at a fairground. Nice. And there was like 200 people at the show. I showed up 30 minutes early and was in the front row just standing there listening to Queens of the Stone Age, like fresh off their Songs of for the Death album and Death. And it was a really good show. It was bizarre.
Nice. Yeah, I saw Queens of the Stone Age, and it was a great show, and it was funny because I was poor at the time, and I really wanted one of their shirts, and I was like just standing up front like rocking out, and this crowd surfer comes up across me and like basically kicks me in the head, and in front of me just drops a 2XL shirt, and I pick it up, and I'm waiting for the guy to come back to get it. The guy never comes back to get it, So I just got a free 2XL shirt from some couch surfer. So I'm convinced that I magicked that shirt into existence.
Yeah.
That's was it on your vision board beforehand?
I guess so, yeah.
I remember when I was in like maybe 7th grade. I was living in Denver, and my mother always encouraged like my musical tendencies, and she's like, "Guess what, Jacob? I got Santana tickets." So we go see a Santana, and this was like during the Smooth with
Rob Thomas. Yeah.
Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. And after the show, she presented me with like a T-shirt that she'd snuck away and bought for me. And she's like, "This is for you because now you know what marijuana smells like."
Amazing.
Yes. I was dealing drugs at the time.
Amazing.
Well, all right. Well, that was the Wayne's World soundtrack. Overall, very disjointed. Had a lot of great songs on it, and a lot of songs that I never cared to listen to again.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear them all in order, and it did remind me of a movie I like.
Yeah. We are really missing out, it looks like, because there's some songs that were featured in the film that weren't in the soundtrack album, including Cold Chills by Kix. I know you guys are really wanting that song in there. Everything About You by Ugly Kid Joe. Fire by Tina Carrere. Making Our Dreams Come True by Cindy Greco. All Night Long by Temple of the Dog. Touch Me by Tina Carrere. And probably the best one, Happy Birthday, Mr. President by Mike Myers.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
When are we going to do Wayne's World 2?
Sometime next season. Yeah, we definitely should tie it together.
I actually looked at the track list, and it looks a lot better than this track list.
Because the 90s were more established and settled.
Yeah, we got Robert Plant, Aerosmith, Gin Blossoms, a song that's original to the film, Joan Jett, Norman Greenbaum, Dinosaur Jr., Four Non-Blondes, Golden Earring, Bad Company, Edgar Winter, Aerosmith, and Village People.
I'll fuck with some Norman Greenbaum.
Yeah.
Well, we'll...
I'm just kidding. I have no idea who that is.
Well, we'll find out next season.
There you go.
Stay tuned. All right. Well, that was the Wayne's World soundtrack. We're side 1, side B with Dave and Steve.
Catch you on the flip side.
Schwing.
Schwing. We went the whole episode without saying schwing.
Hello, Dr. Jax. We're the Alliterates. We're going to get things kicked off. says, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, bring up the notes.
What?
Oh, you don't have to keep notes.
Okay.
We're the professionals here.
I see. You're getting money from Iran? Is that it?
Yeah. We're getting money
George
from...
Soros?
Yeah. George Soros wants this podcast to exist because it's a secret recruiting device for Antifa, because we will occasionally go off on a political tangent.
You know who teenagers look up to? 30-year-olds.
Yes.
Okay.
Look up
40-year-olds.
look up to middle-aged guys who have a lot of opinions on music. Yeah.
Okay.
We have over 750 downloads, so I think that means we're pretty popular.
Yeah, we haven't broken 3 digits on a single episode yet, but
Side 1, Side B is a Floof Goof Studios production. Check us out on the interwebs by going to my website, killrockmusic.com. That's KILRAVOCK music.com. And there's a tab for Side 1, Side B. And additionally, you can check out me and Dave's projects, The Alliterates and Lucid Fugue, respectively. You can also check us out on Instagram at KillRockMusicSWS and Dave_Diction. Thank you. Waka waka. Suck it. What's up?
Let's shut the fuck up.
we're gonna choke you.
My mouth is on fire.
Let me show you how to jam.